I wanted to chat a little bit about leaving relationships and when you know a relationship is really over or whether you can work it out with your partner. So obviously, when you leave a relationship is really your perspective. You're not going to actually follow some random person making a video on YouTube. But I've had lots of spiritual connections and I've had lots of friends that have had spiritual connections, and I definitely see a pattern with how to know when to move on from a relationship. And in my opinion, it's when you're no longer learning and growing from that connection and it's become stale, and the things that annoy you about one another and trigger you about one another actually just put you off the person and just make you less attracted to them. In my opinion, if it's a relationship that still has growth in it and it's still worth working on, and it's a this is a real differentiation to me as well between 3D relationships and spiritual relationships. If something's a 3D relationship, what you'll notice is people start all, wow, this is amazing, this is great, we're attracted to one another, or we help each other survive, or we meet our needs on an ego program. And then there'll start to be little things that start to crop up in ways that are incompatible. And what you'll notice is they grow and grow and grow, and the divide becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and the people no longer really feel attracted to each other. And then sometimes they will just stay in that relationship, even though the attraction has kind of gone, because by that point they've had children, or then they feel too old to meet somebody else, or they share a house together, or there's some reason outside of love and connection that is making them stay together, even though really, clearly, the good feelings in the relationship have gone. But they will go over time. That's what you notice, is they will start where the people are predominantly harmonious together, but they have these ways that rub each other the wrong way, or they're not compatible, but they will just grow further and further and further and further apart. And you can kind of see when someone gets to the point where it's not really returnable and they've just really gone off one another in a romantic sense, but they're not willing to actually cut the cords and let the relationship go. You see that a lot. But it can also happen with spiritual connections, when the contract is over, when what you're there to learn from that relationship is over. You will start to feel that you're just put off by the person, or you're just less attracted by the person, or the connection isn't as deep, when it's time you've learnt your lesson from that relationship and it's time to move on and attract something else. What I find in a spiritual connection that is meant to continue growing is that you will actually, after arguments, you will actually come together even closer than before you had a disagreement. So when you have a disagreement, it doesn't slowly wear each other away to the point where you have less and less feelings, but you will be triggered, you will go away and work on yourself, and then you will expand your heart a little bit more, and you will feel even more connection for your partner, or a deeper connection to your partner, and a feeling that you really want to connect again. And that to me is the big difference between a connection that's still alive and it has a purpose in your life, and a connection that is essentially over but you're holding on to because you're too afraid for whatever reason to let it go. Whether it's the fact that you have kids together, you have a house together, you've just spent a lot of time in that relationship, right? But these to me are the differences between, one that is an active, growing relationship that just has active triggers, and your soulmates or twin flames that are triggering one another in order to evolve. And when you've worked through a trigger, you feel deeper for the person, you feel more in love with the person, you feel like you've actually grown closer through those challenges and through those arguments and through those triggers, versus you just feel kind of put off and disconnected. So arguments with a connection meant to last or continue is you will feel closer from the arguments and the disagreements and the issues, whereas otherwise you will just feel more and more disconnected from the person until eventually you're just not going to be able to sustain being in that relationship, or someone's going to cheat or whatever. But that's my opinion on how to tell the difference between whether to stay or whether to go. But obviously don't just take a random person on YouTube's advice. It's obviously a feeling that you have to feel inside of yourself, but maybe it plants a seed. All right, thanks for your time and chat soon. Bye.